Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
So we wanted to point that out a little bit. I think I did the same thing here with the ISE Euro options. So I won't belabor this, but I will show you that that little widget here for working with some of these values. Now remember, I'm going to click back for 1 second. Bear with me. Remember, we said that the price expression for the ISE versus interbank is the same. They're the same image we see here, but they're reciprocal for the euro. They're reciprocal for the euro, so it's an opposite image. So once we see a price in ISE like 70.66, we're looking at a price in the interbank euro US dollar 141.5. Now let's come back to here. Again, the same charts, 111 minutes and 288 minutes. The same idea that I laid out, the cash pair euro US dollar, and I highlighted in white. It's a little tool in TradeStation called a paint bar. I painted the bars in white that overlap with the session of the ISE index. Now, what I wanted to point out in here is a couple of things. First of all, many TradeStation users don't realize you can actually build an Excel worksheet directly into your workspace. So this is not an overlaid window. This is actually TradeStation. Of course, you have to have Excel installed on the same computer, but TradeStation can open up Microsoft Windows and save them as part of the workspace. So it's very convenient sometimes if there's a calculation you use frequently. I have a little worksheet like this for Fibonacci numbers, a little Excel sheet for certain increments for dividing the day into my strange bar intervals of things like 111 and 288. And here I buried a little worksheet directly in my workspace that converts these two, and this is just reciprocal. In fact, if I click on one of these, you'll see I get the Excel toolbar, and I'm really working on an Excel window buried within TradeStation. So you can see if you look at the formula, I just highlighted this for euro US dollar, this first cell. It is reciprocal, 1 divided by. And of course, I multiplied it up so we get a nice number we're comfortable with. So in this case, I can see, well, if I'm looking at the ISE index at 70, it means I'm looking at a number of close to 143. You'll see the number right there if I want to compare that to the interbank pair. And of course, we can reverse this. I just did this little piece. And then I also put in another little calculator. So if I put in a pair price like a 141, which is about where we were, maybe we came up a little bit later in the day, but about where we were earlier today, that gives me a 70.92 as the ISE equivalent. And if I'm looking at a 70.21, that's where we were on the ISE a little earlier today when I set this up. If I'm at a 70.21, that's about a 142.5. So the red one is a number you can just type in, and it'll return either the interbank equivalent, or you can type in the ISE index value, and it'll return the interbank equivalent. So those are some of the things, obviously, within TradeStation that you can do to help get a handle on the data, a handle on the trading hours, get organized a little bit. And as I said, I'll be glad to share any of these with anybody who is interested and might want to take a look at some of them. Now, I want to take a look at a few other charts in here, and again, I hope my network connections have held up or will hold up as I move on. I'm a little concerned, but let's see where we go. I want to take a look at some things related to volatilities, and I don't know if I'll be candid with you. I don't know if I'll be able to fully make the point here if the data doesn't fully load. I had a bunch of data loaded, and then again, when I had a drop in there, I'm not quite sure what happened, if a file corrupted on me or what. Okay. Stay with me 1 second if you can. I want to check something. see if I can reload this. No one likes dead air, but please bear with me a moment. Okay, thank you. What I did is I thought we would take a look at some of the volatility changes that have occurred in these markets in these last number of months. I think one of the things that's particularly interesting when you take a look at some of these is that very often we'll talk about being in a lower volatility environment, and really where we are, we've certainly come off the top, but at the same time, we're still in kind of an interesting place. Let me move this so I can make some more room here. Here's the euro index from the ISE, and this is a daily chart. So we're looking back to we're back in August of '07. So we're looking at about a 2-year slice that we see in front of us. And this, again, is a daily bar chart. We can see the large movements that occurred in the dollar vis-a-vis the euro, of course. The indicator that you see on the bottom is the volatility, is basically historical volatility. It's the statistical volatility as calculated from the index and expressed in standard deviation. So it is an options trader's version of a volatility number, because it is expressed in standard deviations, as options traders would generally be interested. Now, this is the 30-day volatility expressed as a standard deviation. This, by the way, is a supplied indicator in TradeStation. This is a supplied indicator in TradeStation. So I didn't customize this, and you have it available. And 30 is the default length for the calculation, so it's using a 30-bar data sample in order to make that calculation.
Hey, Stan?
Yes, Steve?
Would you mind, just because I'm trying to figure out, like at the peak when we had volatility as high, I can't read that scale. Do you mind just sort of telling us what that would be? I guess at the, like you said, we're coming off that high, but what was that number? And that, because it looks like it's a decimal to me, like 0.3. I don't really know.
It's expressed in decimal. It's this peak, if you can see the crosshairs, and if you can see where my, the vertical line of the crosshairs is, it's 22.5.
Okay.
Back here, let's see, what value do I have? I have 22.20.
So that would be a statistical vol, 22 vol, is that right? But not the implied, the actual historic vol?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
That's correct. Now, what I'm trying to do is put up the file that just dropped was the implied vol, and I'm trying to pull that back so we can do a little comparison on those. Interestingly, when we look at this, we were so up at these massive levels that it does feel low in here, but take a look at how low these volatility values were before, dare I say, before the world changed. And having numbers down here, and again, we can adjust the length. It's not going to change the basic concept in here. It could shift our calculation a little bit. But we've come down quite a bit. But if you're a technician, really what we've done is we've come down to historically high levels. When we look at these numbers in here, this level in here is about a 15.
Right.
I'm sorry, I apologize. This level in here is about a 10, 11, 12.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.